it'll be recorded also. And you guys can go back to this. It won't be edited. It'll be raw. So I'll backtrack a little bit. I'll close that, and I'll go to Pages, and I'm going to say New Document. Our templates come up, and I'm picking Newsletter, and I'm picking the one down here that looks like a car. Okay, it's called Club Newsletter. All right, so I double-click on it. Now, the first thing you want to do is go down here in the lower right where it says 125%. Yours may say something different. Click on it and say Fit Page. And by clicking Fit Page, you're going to see what this looks like on your page. You can always zoom in later, but this is really important because you want to see what it looks like, because you never know, something may pull off the bottom. The other thing I like to do, go ahead.
Where did you say Fit Page?
It's in the lower left, right here. Right here.
Yeah.
Do you have a Fit Page when you click on it? Yeah, down at the very bottom there. Fit Page, perfect. So, when you're doing certain things, since we are in a page layout program, I will go back and zoom in more, but in general, you start here. The other thing I like to do is go up to the word View and come down to Show Layouts, okay? Because you'll notice that it puts this gray border around, and that shows me where my printer is not going to be able to print. Okay? That's your choice, but I toggle it on and off. Sometimes you don't like that distraction there, but I like to see if I'm getting too close to the edge of my margin. All right. So we're going to go through the different things we can do here. Now, this looks like gibberish, and yes, it is. The only idea for that is it's a placeholder to let you know what that font looks like. So if I was going to take Newsletter, and we'll change this to EmpowerMac, let's say. Okay? You'll notice the font stayed the same. I just double-clicked on it and started typing, and it kept the font the same. And we can go here and say Pages Morning Class. Okay? Now, you can always change these, but these artists have put the color and the type of font together so that any subsequent pages in Pages would have that same theme, so to speak. So everything is editable. Let's go ahead and go up to this little thing that says Pages right here. Do you see this up here? If I click on that, there's the type of pages. Hang on, I got to move my cursor off of this. Come on, get off of there. There we go. So I want to add a second page to this. If it's a 2-page flyer, I could do a back page. Let's say you're doing a mailer, and you do 2 pages, you fold it in half, and you have the spot for the address and the stamp. That would be this one. Here's a full back page. If I want a full text page, if I want 2 or 3 columns or a 3-column design. So cover was the first one we had. So let's add a 2 and 3 column one. So you'll notice the fonts are the same. There isn't a lot of color on this one, but it's the same layout. There's consistency between them. Now, the templates are wonderful. And let's say you find a template you like, you can modify it how you want, and you can save it as your own template. Let's say it's a monthly newsletter. Okay, you make the first one up, you mock it how you want. In fact, if I go up here on this thing right here, and let's call this Wonderful Pages Learning. Okay. Now look at that. It's the title on the second page also. So that's a header that goes in consistently through the whole thing. And you'll notice there's automatic page numbering on the footer. Okay? it inserts the date that you're doing this, but you can change the date to whatever you want. So a lot of times you'll want to go, you'll be in an organization and somebody wants to do the newsletter. Well, first of all, if they're doing the newsletter in Microsoft Publisher, please tell them to stop, because they will never be able to transfer it to anything else. This, at least, you could transfer it to the, when you decide not to do it any longer, you could at least get it to them in Word in some form. So, anybody here do a newsletter already? So, yeah, this could help a lot, and you can set up the template. So what we would do is,
I've been doing it in Publisher for years, and I've just been wanting to do this.
and it's kind of hard because the problem with Publisher, it's Publisher or nothing. You can't bring it out to Adobe or anything like that, and that is very, very difficult. But once you get it in Pages, I think, and Pages is around for a long time. We were wondering, Apple's support was kind of waning, but now that they're going to be doing more of it, we think there's going to be some good things to come in it. It's not a dead-end road, I don't think, with Apple at all.
I did my first one this month, but without any page numbers. I'm hoping by July 1st I will have page numbers.
Okay. So you've got 1
I have
hour.
an appointment at the Apple Store Monday
And are you doing one-to-one?
Yeah.
So does anyone here not know about one-to-one? Okay. So I think it's great. It supplants what we do here, and it's very useful. And what a bargain. You can spend an hour with a genius for an hour a week for $99. So did you know about one-to-one? Did they?
morning. They sold me that.
Good. And you can renew it at least once. I'm not sure if you can renew it twice. You have to buy your product from Apple to get one-to-one. And the only reason that is one-to-one was such an overwhelming success that Apple had to find a way to limit it slightly. So they said, if you don't buy it from Apple, I'm sorry, we can't sell you one-to-one. And it was really more because they were a victim of their own success. So let's go into this EmpowerMac. In fact, this would work better as well, we'll leave it like it is. We'll move it up a little. So I just click on the header, and I just use my up and down arrow keys. Move it up a little so the P is not dangling as bad, right? I'm just using the up and down arrows on my keyboard. Okay, that's the easiest way to nudge, because when we try to move it, we're going to do it too much. Now, let's change this font color. The keys to the kingdom are in Inspector. Okay? I click on Inspector. I pretty much move my thing over. You'll notice I have my dock on the left. Okay. How many people have the dock on the left? How many people have the dock on the bottom? Okay. I don't want to reinvent your workflow. I want to just show why I think this is good. The screen is built just like me. It's wider than it is tall. So, if the dock's on the bottom, I keep bumping into it. In fact, if the dock were at the bottom, I wouldn't have this much exposed. So, I put the dock on the left. How do we do that? Simply go up to the Apple logo, come down to dock, and say position on left. Okay? And you can change it back like all you want. So you may have certain programs, but think about Safari. You're not getting the rest of those web pages. All right? But you can change. You can do it however you want. I don't want to reinvent your workflow. Pete is a down bottom dock guy because he thinks that's because of the way it came from Apple. I just think it gets out of the way. So what I'm going to do is hit some highlights, and then we're going to go back through the whole inspector. Actually, we'll go. So the first thing is I have EmpowerMac highlighted here. I click off in the gray area and click back on it, and you'll notice I get handles. Okay? Now, everybody have handles in their header there? If you don't, let me know, please. So with handles in the header, that's these little things. That's right here. These are handles. These little dots, those are considered handles, okay? That means that you've selected that object, all right? So by selecting that object and click on the T for text up here in the inspector. Everybody have their inspector? Who doesn't have their inspector window up? Go ahead and click inspector on your dock, right, or on the top right here. You're good. Click on the T. That's it. Click on it. Great. Anybody else? Okay. So that means we're going to affect the text of what's selected. So I want to change the color of this EmpowerMac text. So the first thing I need to do is I've selected the box. I need to go right here where the color is and click on it one time. Now, I'm very much like Pete. I'm a simple person. If the crayons aren't showing up, you need to click on the box. You're probably got something like this. Who's got this one? Okay. Click on over across the top here to crayons. It makes it simple. So now I always like to check, well, am I going to change what I have? So I'll pick a chartreuse green and, oh, look at that, it changed it. Okay? Now, I want to match the red on the hood of the car. So I could go over here and I could say, well, is that the right red? Nah, it doesn't look like the hood of the car, does it? You can pick whatever you want. But here's the trick. This little magnifying glass right here, I click on that, I click and release, it becomes a magnifying glass, and I drag it over to the hood of the car right there, and when I click on that, it's the same red as the hood of the car now. Well, let's say I don't like that. I want to go with the brown on the key fob. Boom. Okay? How about the blue of the ocean? See how that is? Now, that might be neat, but we want to have consistency across the rest of it. We changed the green one to this blue. I can save that color. So how I save that color is, now, everybody probably has this down here, and it looks about, do you have one line like that down here? Okay. Anytime there's a little dot, that means Apple's hiding something. So you grab the dot and pull the drawer down. Oh, let me move it up a little. There it is. Oops, no. There we go. Just grab it down to expose a few more of these little grids. Everybody got that? Who doesn't? Okay. A little tough on a trackpad. Sometimes on trackpad you have to roll your finger. Oh, it's over here. Change this to. There you go. So we're gonna. So has everybody figured out the magnifying glass thing?
It won't work.
It won't work?
No.
Yeah, good point. You got handles. No, click on the magnifying glass.
Yes. Okay.
Now, come over here to hit the red on the, or hit the blue. Bring the magnifying glass over here. There it is. Change the Just click on the EmpowerMac. Yeah, actually you're in edit mode. Okay, good point. Here we go. So we had someone that lost their handles. I wish. But you'll notice I have a gray area over here. How she lost her handles was she clicked again and it got into text edit mode for editing the text. I click on the gray and then come back and click on the object. Did that cure it? Click off of it and then click on it. That's going to happen. It happens to me all the time. Yeah, it just resets it. So, perfect. Yes? Saying that you want to change the color. Now it'll work. So Barb, this happened to Barb, and this is a good point. So she had a problem with it. She had to highlight it. Don't forget, on this first inspector panel, we have to select color. We have to turn it on. See how we turn it on, turn it off? Saying, I'm going to adjust the color by clicking this. See, it's kind of grayed now. Now it's light. I'm not selected. I have to select this, saying, this is what I want to affect on that. And then it works. Barb, your way works too. In fact, let's do something really tricky with this. Click out over in the gray area to release your handles. Come back and click on EmpowerMac. And now I want you to click one more time between Empower and Mac. Okay? You click twice. And the flashing cursor should be between Empower and Mac. You have a space in there. That's okay. Everybody have a flashing cursor? Perfect. Test drive. No, you're good. You got a flashing cursor? Yeah. Okay, everybody got a flashing cursor. Click once, then again. Oh, you moved your mouse from the click button. Oh, you haven't changed it. You need to change the title. Just type in something. Double click, and just, yeah, perfect. See, he hadn't changed it from original newsletter. Yes?
I hadn't either, and I just hit delete.
That's okay. Just start typing.
But I lost the box and everything.
Okay. Ah! Our favorite keys.
Is it Z?
Command Z. It undoes. And it can undo the last 100 steps if you wanted to. So just double click on it.
Can you also go into the top?
Okay, now just type in.
Yeah,
I'm going to show that. So, Command Z is undo, and if you look up here at Edit, I don't have anything to undo right now, but you'll notice here, oh, I can undo Command Z. Or what I'll do many times is when I'm working on a project, many times you'll nudge something some way, and oh, I want it back the other. You can go forward. You can undo, undo, undo. Oh, I went too far, and redo in steps if you want to. That you can do unlimited times. Okay? Undo is huge. And you'll notice your keyboard shortcuts are always right here. Okay? So we're going back to our some of you have different words up there, but I want you to have your cursor in the middle somewhere. And now I'm going to take and click and drag and highlight one section, either the left or the right section on your heading. Make sure you've got that highlighted, okay? Everybody got that? Nobody? Somebody doesn't? Okay. Now, I'm going to go and click on color. Remember, I have to activate it. I'm going to take my magnifying glass, and I'm going to go over here. That's not dark enough. Like that. So pick a color, a new color for it. So click. Oh yeah, you got it.
I don't know how to highlight on here.
No, you're going to click and drag. So you click. Your clicker's not working very well. I'll bet your battery's slow. Remind me to check it.
I just replaced it.
I'll check it.
Oh my gosh.
I'll check it. So now you're highlighted because your clicker's hard to activate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. It should be.
Sorry for your clicker.
Yeah.
No, that's sometimes a sign of a swollen battery. So I'll check it.
I have a swollen
Cool. So instead of affecting the whole box, we've just affected particular letters, and we could be as bad about that and have like the Google logo a bunch of different colors. But remember, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Thank you.
Don't mix fonts. Don't mix a bunch of colors. But in this case, it works well because it kind of puts the two beside. In fact, this would work better if we had done it, because you know how sometimes everything runs together. Well, it's too big now. Oh, it's too big. What am I going to do? All right. Well, but I'm going to show you how to change this font on the fly. I'm clicking in the, now, notice this little thing right here? That says, hey, you ran out of space. There's more hidden behind this. So I don't want that to take up 2 lines. I'd rather have it take up less space. So I'm going to click in the gray and click back on it. And then I can go change the font numbers, but what I can actually do is, if we go up to Format, Font, you'll notice I have bigger and smaller. And what's my keyboard shortcut? And Command minus. So I'm going to click off on that, and I'm going to hold my Command key and just hit minus, 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 minus. Boom. I don't care what the font number is. I just made it so it fit. So Command minus, 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 and let's say I was going the other way. I'll get it back down a little, and then I go Command plus, 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 plus. Oh, too far, so I go back to -1. That's a huge time saver. Because you don't care what the font number is, you care how it fits.
What's the number? I mean,
Hold Command,
yeah.
and it's the minus right here.
Oh,
And if you're on a laptop, the plus looks like you have to put capital plus, but you don't. Just Command and hit the key where the plus is, and it will work just fine. I used to have to always hit the Shift key, but you don't. That's a great way to fix your fonts. Okay? Now, you'll notice the dual color helps because even though this is all caps, what it's done is you see kind of the 2 names. All right? So, text wrangling is what this kind of is, and it's really pretty easy, and you look at the latitude. Now, we can change that font to something else. That's pretty simple. But let's go back down into this area right here.
when you changed it to uppercase, you had to type that in.
I had to type it in with caps lock, and the only reason I did that because I wanted to show just how, where there might be a spot where you use the 2 colors.
But
Believe it or not, on websites, I'm a big proponent. I've always told people all along. In fact, I did some work with Mel Rapton Honda. Their website said, when they advertised, Mel Rapton Honda, all is one word. We don't read letters, we read words. Capital M, Mel Rapton Honda, people read and retain better. The designers want them all in lowercase. Well, great. It's a great design, but people can't read it on the bus when it goes by. So, one way around it is the designers could make Mel in one color, Rapton in another, and Honda back to the first color. That's a way to differentiate it. Because we read words. I don't know if you've ever seen that thing that goes around the internet where you can read an entire story and only the first and last letters are in the correct order. It's all mixed up in between, and you can read what it says. We read words, not letters. And I'm a huge thing on that on websites because you got to remember that thing. It's a fleeting moment, you know, and they're trying to advertise. Well, make it easier for people to get it. So, and that would be in the iWeb class. So, what I'm going to do here now is I'll go down to this area right here where there's fake text, and let's just click on it again, and it highlights blue. Now, once it's highlighted blue, I don't have to hit delete. It means I can type over it. So I'm just going to type. Oh, wait a minute. I don't have to type. Who here is not on Mountain Lion? You don't have Mountain Lion, I don't think. You do. Well, you don't have a computer. You have Mountain Lion. All right. Those of you who don't have Mountain Lion, I apologize. We're going to diverge here a little bit because I'm going to do dictation on my Mac. So I want everybody to find the function key on your keyboard. It says FN. On yours, it's up by the numbers. On yours, it's the lower left. Yours, it's the lower left. I think we did yours last night, didn't we? Yours, do you have it in the lower left there? Turn your caps lock off for me. I see the little green light on. You're not going to be able to do it.
Okay.
All right. Double tap your function button. Say OK. Oh, you need to be where you're going to type in text. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So double tap your function. Didn't come up. Tap, tap. Oh, you're maybe not on Mountain Lion. Let's go up here to About This Mac.
Shouldn't that change?
Yeah, you are. Hang on. So, go ahead. Anybody else that's on Mountain Lion that didn't have it show up? Excuse my bottom pointing at you there, Barbara.
Sure.
You can't see the screen, I'm sure, past me.
Weird. It shuts off
Your FN key.
Okay, so yours is already enabled. Press function key twice, English.
Say okay.
Yeah, say OK to the screens.
Okay.
Oh, God, you know what? You guys aren't going to be able to do it because of the internet connection.
Yeah, because mine kept going close on me.
All right. Demo fail, but I'm going to show you how it works because I have my own little internet I brought with me. Okay. So, this points out that you have to be on the internet for dictation. So watch the screen. Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. Period. New paragraph. This is how you speak, comma, and it types for you. Period. If you'll notice, the microphone will show you the level that you're talking. Period. New paragraph. Isn't this fantastic? Exclamation mark. Oh, please work. There we go.
There you go.
Okay.
Did you just hit the function mark to stop your dictation?
Yes, you can hit the done key, or you tap function one time, or it will time out after 30 seconds. And when it times out after 30 seconds, it will process what you've been doing. And after 30 seconds, I can start where I left off, period. Now, let's talk about why you have to be on the internet for this. And believe it or not, in Mountain Lion, it appears that you're going to be able to download about 700 and something megabytes, and you won't have to be connected for this to have simple dictation. But this is speech to text. This isn't Siri. This is speech to text. If you have Mountain Lion, it's included, as long as you activate it. But it records what I say, ends up to 30 seconds, sends it out over the internet to the big supercomputer in North Carolina, and it crunches it, and it says, oh, this is what Ken said, and it comes back to me without any misspellings. Because it has to consult a dictionary before it sends it to you, because it might not know whether I said microphone or something else. It will not know whether you mean two, or fair, or fair, you know. So it's getting better at that because it'll contextualize it within your message and try to. But it's really good for the most part, especially for real quick emails. I don't know if you'd use it for a newsletter, but to be honest, I'm a fairly fast typist, but I'm slow because I do a lot of typos. Well, I get no typos with this.
You do email with that?
I do email with that all the time. Anywhere I can type in Mountain Lion, I can use dictation. As long as I have an internet connection, we just found out, right? Which we knew. Go ahead.
Let's say you use the dictation and it's there and there's something you want to change in that paragraph.
Just as if you typed it. What you got to think about this is the same interface as your keyboard. It's just a different way to accomplish that text. Once I have this text, I can do here, like I said, remember I said new paragraph? So I put an extra space in there. I can fix that. I can fix that. I can edit anything I want. Okay? Now, how many have an iOS device that's got Siri in it? An iPhone 4S or a 5 or an iPad mini or 3 or 4? So the same thing happens every time I have a keyboard. Well, let's say for mail, for instance. So I'm going to hit reply. You'll notice I have a keyboard right down here. Or I have a microphone on my keyboard. Now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country, period. Now remember, if you're not connected, you won't get it. I'm connected through my little Wi-Fi thing. So it's taking a while. But it will time out. It won't be available if you don't have an internet connection, okay? And it's tough here today. But it works just the same. This is not Siri. This is simple speech to text. Well, Google search in Google has their own voice recognition. But I can go to the Safari browser. For instance, let's go back to our Mac. Just to point this out, because dictation is a huge deal. Here's my search bar, and I can type or comma text or comma speak whatever I want to, and it will search for that.
That's the FN key, right?
Double tap function to activate, single tap to turn it off. Okay? So, the other thing is, I'm going to zoom this in a little so we can see what I'm typing. Quote. To say numbers, you don't simply say 1 or say 5 or say 7. You can say 157, or you can say numeral 1, and then you would say numeral 5, and you would say numeral 7.
Is there a little cheat sheet on dictation etiquette? You know how to do the punctuations and all this?
No, and it's hit and miss. There's probably some sites. But you'll notice I said simply say 1, or say 5, or say 7. Or I said 157, remember? But if I wanted to say numerals, you'll notice I said say numeral 1. When you say numeral, it will do the integer. If I say 1, or if I say 5, it spells it out. But when I do it in a group like 157, or I said 157, it kind of, if you think about it, that's how it would be. I'm going along one fine day. You don't want the number 1 to be there. But if I wanted to say, today well, I wouldn't say number 1, because I'm numeral 2 in line. I'm second in line. Well, you could say second in line. Let's see how it does that. I am second in line. So now, one last thing on the dictation is how we do quotes.
Can I ask a quick question?
Go ahead, Connie.
If you don't,
You can ask a long one, too.
thank you. If I have a Bluetooth keyboard attached to my iPad, how do I activate the microphone?
Don't know.
First.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
Mark this day and time.
Yeah.
Good thing you guys aren't on the internet. You know, they might be changing that a bit, like the Logitechs and stuff, because it is a thing on your keyboard. You know, if you shoot me an email, I'll research that a little bit. But I'm wondering if, since it's only been since the iPad mini, the iPhone 4S, and the iPad 3 and 4, since that became available, because yours has to support Siri to be able to have the text dictation. So there might be a way, because when you have the problem is when you have the Bluetooth keyboard attached, your regular keyboard doesn't show up, so you have the full screen. So I'll look into that for you. All right, quotes. So people always wonder how you do quotations on quote, speech to text, closed quote, period. I lost the internet. People always wondered how you do quotations, comma, you do quote, speech to text, close quote. I don't say quote, yeah. Anyway, what happens is you say, quote, talk, closed quote. And it will come up with quotation marks around it. Okay?
Is the word closed quote activate the first quote in a sense?
I don't think so. I think the first quote, because that's why I said quotation instead of quote. But I would say if I said quote and didn't say anything after it, it's the finish and comes back. You'd have to play with it, but since the internet's so spotty right now. So I just sabotaged the internet so you couldn't get out and say Ken didn't know that one thing. I say quote, and it might work with quotations, but it's just habit. And I think the numeral one, I think I've tried number one, and number doesn't seem to work, but numeral does. And I think the whole idea is they make it so it's a little less something you might say in normal context so that it doesn't get confusing. There are some tips and tricks, and there's some Siri tips for that, but I think there's going to be more and more coming with that. But I just wanted to point out dictation because you have it on your Mac. Mavericks is going to make it so you probably can do it without an internet connection, but it will be an additional download because a lot of the laptops now have small, not big hard drives on them. So it's about a 3/4 of a gigabyte download. I've just read that about Mavericks. So part of the reason we wanted to get text here, and you guys can just grab and put some text in there. Just type whatever you'd like. It doesn't matter what it is. Make sure you put some spaces in and things like that to just fill up this space a little bit. And I'm going to zoom into it because we're going to do more text wrangling. But we can't do the text wrangling with the built-in text because if we try to adjust it, it's just not there. It's really just a placeholder. All right. So everybody got a little bit of text in there at all? Okay. So now, if I click off into the white and then click back on it, when I have handles around where all my text is, I'm going to affect all of the text that's in that box. If I highlight text, I'm only going to affect the text that is highlighted, okay? Big difference. It's subtle, but it makes a big difference on what you're trying to do, and you'll do a lot of Command Z's if you don't remember that. So, first thing I'm going to do is click off into the white area and then back on, and I'm going to affect the whole text. And we're still in the text box. This is, to me, is the most important part about the inspector. This and the one next to it. We're going to do those first, and then as we have time, we'll go through the rest. We've got about 10 minutes till the first break. So, what I want to do here in text, I want to go down here to character. Yes, I know I'm a character, but I want to adjust my character. Now watch up here first before you do it. I can adjust the character spacing on the fly, which is the spacing between them. How often have you wanted to do that? Now if you did that in Word, you'd have to do it, hit apply, do it, hit apply, do it. Here you're seeing it on the fly. All right, now, that's leading, I believe it's called, from the old Gutenberg thing where they had different letters and they would lead between the letters, or was it kerning? I can't remember. Anyway, what I like to do, rather than use the slider though, I go over here to the right, and I'll do more or less there, and it does it in smaller increments. Okay? And I can go right to here, where this is, and enter a number. If I want to go back to 0, let's say. Boom, right back to 0. So you have 3 ways of doing it. You have a slider bar, you have the plus and minus arrows, and you can write it in right away. Has everybody been able to accomplish that? If you haven't, let me know. This is huge. Now, let's take the same thing and apply it to one simple line. So I'm going to highlight this line, okay? Highlight any line. And play with it. Look what happens. Just that line. How custom can you get that way? Now, obviously, that's a little bit extreme. But how many times have you really tried to make things line up and you're going, man, I don't want it to go one more carriage return to go below. I just want to smooth it out a little. So you can force it. And, 10's a lot. If you go, say, to 1, well, actually, let's put it on 0. So if I go here and I use this little arrow and I go, well, make it a little tighter. See, that's hardly noticeable. We used to resort to changing the font size to make it fit in a line, and now you don't have to. Go ahead, Mark.
For some reason, I'm just trying to highlight it, and I'm actually physically moving the whole box.
That was happening to me.
Okay, you need to click a second time. So click on the box, get handles, now click again.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of, I probably glossed over that a little bit. Let's click off into the white area. The first click, I'm affecting the box. The second click is how I can get in and affect the text within the box.
Once I see the bouncing, then I know I'm fixing.
Yeah, and actually you'll see these blue little handles, which we won't get into, but those little blue handles just mean you're not in, or those blue pointers are not handles. You'll know. If you still see handles, you're only affecting the entire box. You're not affecting a particular text. And this applies if I want to go in here and, say, put bold on this one word right there. Oh, actually, a real quick way to do this, guys. Here's another great tip that works in word processing. I'm going to click off into the white. I'm going to click on one time to make the handles. Watch here, and then I'll have you do it. I'm going to click again to get in. You can always tell if you have a flashing cursor, you're in text edit mode. Now watch what happens if I double click on the word speak. It highlights the word. Single click is your bar. You can click and drag to highlight, but double click does single word. And what happens if we triple click? It affects a paragraph, or sometimes just it'll do a sentence. Okay? There's so many times you want to just highlight a word, and especially if you're working on a trackpad or something like that, it makes it so much tougher. You can double click on the word to get a word, and triple click will give you either the paragraph. In some cases, it will just do a sentence. Okay? Now, if I want to select it all, I simply go up here to Edit, and look at this. I have Select All, and what's our keyboard command for that? Okay. So, select all, and it should highlight everything. Now, I'm going to put it down here. So watch this. I'm going to click down here. I'm going to click again. And who here uses cut, copy, and paste already? Who doesn't? Okay. No, that's fine, because this is a huge time saver. So, if I go up to here and select all, I have something highlighted. So at this point, I can do something with it. So, I can cut or copy. Now, what's the difference? Anybody know?
Take it out.
Copy takes, as it says, a copy of what you have and places it somewhere else. It places it on the clipboard. Cut would remove it from where you are. So let's give this example. I'm going to take this last part right here and just highlight this, and I'm going to say cut. Cut still copies it to the clipboard, but it removes it from where you're taking it. This would be the case where you have a paragraph here and you want the paragraph earlier in what you're writing. Now, why does it say, well, let's do copy, let's do cut first.
Different than delete.
Correct. Now it's put it on this clipboard. It's waiting for me to do something with it. I've cut it. I've copied it to my clipboard, and yes, you can only have one thing on a clipboard at a time. But it's on my clipboard. Well, I want to paste it down here. So I go up here, and look, paste was grayed out before, but since I have something on my clipboard, paste is available. So I'm going to hit paste. Now you'll notice it's Command V, right? Why isn't it Command P? Anybody know?
Right.
Exactly. But the other thing is, it's because you can print. I'll show you in a second. Let me hit paste. Here is the keyboard viewer. Look at on your keyboard what are right next to each other. Command X, cut, copy, and paste. They're all right next to each other.
So the sequence is you
Cut or copy.
do you highlight where you want it to move first before you paste?
No. First thing you have to do is put something on your clipboard. So you have to tell it what you want to put on your clipboard. So you cut or copy. It's on your clipboard, waiting for you to say, Bart, what are you going to do? I'm ready. Where do you want me to put? So then you can click a spot and put it there, or highlight an area, and when you hit paste, it will replace the area that's highlighted.
Okay, so
Now,
to give it a destination before you hit the word paste.
correct. Yeah, because otherwise, well, or it'll just put it out there in its own little text box. But you see this? I'm going to take this, and I'm going to copy, and I want to put it right here. Well, look what happens if I paste it there. It doesn't have that other font. And that had that really neat font. So I'm going to hit Command Z, and if I come up to Edit, and I hit Paste and Match Style, it will retain everything that's there. It could have been that custom color we made at the header, right? So if I hit Paste and Match Style, and by the way, that really obscure keyboard shortcut is Option Shift Command V. I usually go up there for Paste and Match Style. That's the one keyboard one I haven't memorized. But the big thing is, you guys, I had to force myself. I used to go up to Edit all the time, and I said, nope, go back and learn the keyboard commands for cut, copy, and paste. We'll show you another way in a second, but let me finish this. So now when I paste it, you'll notice it kept the same apparent font, including the font colors. And that's a huge time saver, because so many times you don't like the font. If Billy was here, she'd want Comic Sans, and so anyway, that's that. Now, you can accomplish cut, copy, and paste by what used to be called right click. Oops, I just moved that, so I hit Command Z rather than try and move it back and maybe get it where it was. So I've got the word speak here. Now, those of you on the laptops, when you highlight something, you can take 2 fingers and click on your trackpad. You other ones, I'll talk to you in a second. So if you have a trackpad, hold 2 fingers and click, and your cut, copy, and paste come up. See? So I can copy it without having to go up to Edit or knowing my keyboard combinations. Those of you on with the mouse, you can try highlight a word and try right-clicking. Some of you have that enabled, and if not, the foolproof way is to hold the Control key and click. Now, in the Windows world, that was always called right-click. On the Mac, we never used to have 2 clickers. Now we kind of have a left and a right. But all I would say is it's called secondary click. And try right-clicking your mouse or try Control-click, and it'll do it. Let me take a break on that. I think that's a good point. I'll go grab some menus really quick. And it's you guys, if you're going to order, we'll bring them in. And Don't forget to get a number, but it's a restroom. Okay. Are you sticking around for lunch? Well, you can if you'd like. We'd love to have you. It's always a good question and answer time, too, if you guys can share that. Dr. Fesker, there you go. There's some specials today. Chocolate chip pancakes, boy. And Rosa will be in a minute to take the orders. They do half salads. They're usually pretty good sized. And I think they do half sandwiches also. We got it right here. Okay. You can't change the color of that. You can use that as a color, but it's a photo, so it's locked in. That would be a Photoshop type program or Pixelmator or one of the others. Yes. The photo is a photo. It's an aggregate of what it is. We can do opacity on it, which I'm going to talk about in a minute.
All right. What time is it? Same time. So you'll be back at tonight. Well, let me call you. Okay. Teach it. Okay, because he's on like 2 years. Okay. We're going to stay the whole day, right? Okay. Excellent. What are you getting? Want to split a chicken sandwich? It really does. First thing was this, I could see if I got the pages. Yeah. The computer's brand new.
All right.
Okay, do I have pages on my computer? You had asked me about that, and I said, oh no, I got whatever.
Yeah, because you've been using Word a lot, but you can go to the App Store and buy it. I think it's $14 or $19.99.
And I was going to buy it for my iPad.
I think it's $9.99.
But
don't think I can today since we can't.
No. Oh, because you know what? I'll get you on the internet for during lunch.
Oh, okay.
Remind me.
Okay.
We'll get it for you.
Great.
As long as you have your Apple ID, your password, it's whatever you buy apps with. As long as you remember it. Oh yeah, that one. Oh, here's the App Store. So for your Mac, it's the little blue icon here. And since the internet's not working, it won't work, but you just go for Pages there and then purchase it, and it'll download right to your computer, and off you go. Yeah, they're separate for the iPad, and then they are for the Mac. But like you had multiple Macs, it would work on that. And of course, if you get Pages for your iPad, you can also do it on your iPhone. It works the same. It's not a little tougher to do, but it works the same. Command Z. Okay, Rosa's going to come through and take your orders. You know what? Everybody has the special. When she takes your order, give her the menu and the special because she needs to get them back into the bar.
On this program right here that we're looking at with the area templates, if you had your own logo, can you scan that information in and then do adjustments at it?
Like your header information?
Yeah, and the business cards that are already made.
Yeah, the problem is it's then a whole image. You'd be better off if you have a logo, scanning just the logo part and then putting in your text, because what happens is if you take an image and you scale it up and scale it down, your text is going to maybe look a little washed out. But if you know the font that was used, you could just do your logo and then the rest of it.
And I don't even care to change the font.
Well, either way. Apple changed their font. This is new. They changed their font from Myriad to New Helvetic and New Ultra. But yeah, you could.
So just scan the logo in.
And it becomes an image just like this car is right here. And then we put it on the top, and again, you could use that, or a lot of things on the other
That's
the address and stuff at the bottom. Yeah, so don't scan the rest, we just scan the upper part, and we'll type in the lower part because it becomes crisp and it scales well that way.
I did get that.
And you said you wanted half, right?
The brother?
Yes. But you know
Just
what?
mayo and onions.
And I just said, how to
Remote
return.
screen share sometimes.
American
We
Cheddar
do
Jack Swiss,
remote
Pepper
screen
Jack
shares,
cheese.
to try things out.
No, I'm looking at that. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
She need to worry about me.
Well, if she's going to redo the logo, yeah. But it's just an image of the logo right now.
Who gives your logo for your similar?
And
Did you,
Yeah, I have a shoe.
oh, then let's just get the original image and get it on your Mac that you can use for other things, because boom.
Okay, I have the salad.
It's so
bar.
much better and cleaner.
And then
But it doesn't have to be that good.
Okay. Order something to eat?
Yeah.
What would you like?
I think he's gonna be just basically.
What would you like with it?
Yeah. But she's doing it herself. That's if you're sending it to someone.
Anything to drink?
The reason they want a vector.
Okay.
So a raster image is essentially like a photo. Every dot is there. But a vector, instead of drawing a triangle, it says you, here's point A.
Yeah, it's a hot sandwich.
Arithmetic to
Okay,
point
so
B,
no sauerkraut and no
arithmetic
cheese?
to point C,
Got it.
and then back. And the line is this color and it's this broad. The other is, this is a dot, this is a dot, this is a dot, this is a dot, this is a dot.
Chicken sandwich.
We're gonna split the
Stick sandwich.
The special crispy?
Can you give me some tips on this? I don't have my
And I have French fries, coleslaw, potato salad, fruit, onion rings. Okay, so we're gonna be number 4, okay? Can I get a call?
Yes. Let me have a coffee. Let's see. Can I just take that out?
Well, I wouldn't if you're still going to get stuff incoming.
No, I'm trying to change everything.
Yeah, but I would because you still get some stragglers coming in for that, and then we wouldn't want to miss the mail. We can possibly set it up to forward the CRD club.
Why do we try or something?
But you will get that. But sometimes they So, but this one we don't know. But what we can do is we can set it up to forward to the email.
Anything for you?
Don't you have a Caesar shrimp?
Yeah.
Caesar shrimp half.
Do you invoice and things like
That's Caesar
Alrighty, and you said 1 o'clock?
Yeah, right at 1. Thanks,
Okay.
Rosa. Yeah. Well, she's having problems with the track.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to do that slightly. Right.
Black book. I say, you know, the bookkeeping system is great for invoicing, and I don't even bank on mine, so I use
Change the depth of it.
No, well, you can adjust it, but it's
Well,
not,
then,
it's not normally done.
yeah, that's fine, but like I said, it's fabulous, it's actually, it's really good.
Yeah, and that's what I was suspecting. That's when they go But you click and just actuated really well, so let's see that.
I have 3 properties, but I
No.
have just 5 rentals. 5 apartments. Oh, right.
Because this one usually. Yeah, I think that's okay. You know, just actually there's some weird sensitivity.
24th and
No, it's not that. Yeah, no, that's it's enabled through software.
No, I'm in ordinary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of on the way. It's on the way out.
Oh, you know what it is?
But-
The center's more sensitive than the sides. It's almost like this. So here
Is
there's
it
very
built
little
from water?
throw.
Oh, 3-story building.
Here there's very little throw. Here there's a lot of throw.
Duplex.
So I hold it like this and I hold it like this. So this is not giving me the sensitivity of the rest of here. Because I'm a sensitive.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, that was the purpose of the building.
So the center is, if you have issues with it not responding, use the center.
Okay.
That's just kind of probably an age issue, or I don't think that was because of the old swelling.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Nick Tomich and I started together, but he died. And Dennis Green,
He did a
and Greenbaum is the one that actually finished them. Yeah, Tomich.
He did worse.
mutual association. And then
Okay.
I lost everything. I think I hit view full page.
Yeah, they did a lot of public work ML.
Oh, you know what? I'm glad that
I got involved with Tomich.
and I'm going to show you why. Because it's
Yeah.
that's the most phone calls I ever get. All right. Are we all back? Except for Sean?
Yeah.
Okay, so this just happened to somebody over here, and we're in pages like this. And see these little, these are the devil incarnate until we get to Mavericks. Sorry, that affects your business.
Oh,
Oh.
Yes, yes.
So if I click that, I get full page mode, and I don't have my bar, I don't have my dock, I don't have anything. Now, I get it's whether it's Safari, whether it's Mail, whether it's iTunes, I get this call all the time, and it takes about 3 words. Ken, I've lost, or Ken, I can't find. That's 4 words, and I know exactly what it is. So if you catch yourself in full screen mode, it's nice, it's clean, everything got out of the way, and it's great to really preview what you're doing, but where'd my menu bar go? Where'd my dock go? So I can go up here, and oh, there's my menu bar. Okay. Over here, oh, there's that, then there's my dock. But the way to escape from full page mode is simply go up to the upper right-hand corner and look for this little blue box with the arrows that say make it smaller. Now, this only started in Lion, so 10.7 and 10.8. It's useful, but I've had more problems with it when people say, I can't do anything, I'm stuck in this. So, you move your cursor up to the right-hand corner and you simply click on it, and all is well again in paradise.
It's not happening.
Okay? We'll try return paradise to you here. Go up to the upper right-hand corner, all the way up.
Oh.
Blue box. Okay, so how we get into full screen mode is those little arrows. And again, there's times when it's good. Most of the time, not so much. But look, I mean, the great thing is if we were in our document and we were in full page mode, and I went full screen, it's a great way to preview what your document would look like. All the other stuff gets out of the way. So there's, yes, a reason for it, but the problem is most of the time when it happens, you don't intend it to happen.
I have a question.
Ken, I was not trying to get to full screen. I was trying to get to full page.
No, that's fine. Fit page is on the bottom.
But when I go down here to where mine said one, the reason I did it was I figured after moving dock from the bottom to the side, I could actually fit this a little bigger.
Right.
That's what I was trying to do, but I can't because it says 107%.
Oh, but if you click Fit Page, see, on your screen, you have a big screen, so you are at 107%. 100% might be too small for yours. You're fitting page. Okay, first of all, hit the green dot in the upper left. Everybody, you can make it bigger, or grab. Okay, here's. Let's go back to this. This is important. So, in her case, the window is a little short like this, right? So if I hit Fit Page now, it's going to fit the window I have open. But why give up all this real estate because we moved the dock to the side? So I come up here, and you'll notice it becomes up-down arrows, and I drag this page down, and now I've got full height top to bottom, and you'll notice my Fit Page went to 82%. She has a 21.5-inch iMac, so her full page will be over 100%.
So I need to drag this down.
Move your cursor to the bottom, very bottom, and you'll see it turn into some arrows. Pull it down. Now go over to Fit Page, right down here. Yeah, right here. Fit Page. Click it again.
It wasn't giving me
Oh, you need to go wider also. So grab it on that side because it's fitting a page that way. There you go. And what percentage is it?
115.
So she's at 115. I'm only at 82% on my little 15-inch MacBook Pro. You're probably at about 70. Oh, 98 because you have a higher resolution screen. So you want to open your page up as much as possible. And I like to leave a little gray border on the right-hand side so I can click off and then click back on. Okay? Now, we've wrangled our text a bit. So I'm going to zoom back in. You guys don't have to do this. This is more so you guys can see better. And I'm going to click on my text box. I'm going to click my text inspector again. And let's look at some of these other things. If I highlight this text, and I can adjust my line spacing, and this is the spacing between the lines. Now, the difference here is it just doesn't affect the lines that I have highlighted. It's from there on it affects. See? So I'm going to take this to extreme, and you can see how it is, okay? So it starts here, and it says, give me 2.7 spaces between lines. But let's say I only want it for this one little bit, and then I want to go here. Let's move this out of the way. And I say, well, let's return these lines to less. Ah, it affects, oh, hang on here. Yeah, it's, oh, you know what? They've changed it. It affects everything from the first point. You can't adjust it. So if I go, ooh, bad call there. Sorry, it's because I'm zoomed in. So again, you know, normal one line spacing. And you'll notice here, you have single, double spacing is the old way, but we aren't stuck with just single and double spacing. We could do like 1.5 spacing, multiple line spacing, at least exact. You have such creative control over everything you have. Now, the next one is before paragraph. So you'll notice where the this is a paragraph. So this affects the spacing before the paragraph that I'm highlighting, okay? Now, if I say after paragraph, well, actually, let's return this back to normal. Command Z. Okay, now I'll click here, and I'll click after paragraph, and it does the same thing, but it's after the paragraph you're in. There's two ways to skin the cat in that regard. Okay? Inset margin. It's a little bit obscure, but what that is you notice this box comes in farther and farther. It's, think of it as a buffer, or sometimes they call it a gutter. Okay? Inset margin.
So the perimeter.
Yes. Yes. And I'll Command Z out of that. Now, on text like this, you know what? I'm going to go back up to, we're going to go to page 2. All right? Just so I can have some stuff here. And you'll notice that we have alignment. We have the good old center, justify right, or justify fully. And those are these all right here. The other thing is you'll notice this part we have right up here. If you'll notice, I'm going to expand this box a little. And you'll notice that it's forced to the top of the box, okay? I can adjust that over here and say center it in the box vertically, or push it to the bottom vertically, okay? That's some small differences, but they get bigger if my box was expanded more. Okay? See how the box now you'll see the difference. Justified top, or bottom, or middle, and bottom. A lot of times if you're putting something as a header and you make that box for the text, you want to center justify it, and you want to justify it vertically in the center. Bart?
Now when I'm resizing that small, tiny box, will the other boxes below it automatically resize and go down, or will they kind of blend into each other and we'll have to resize everything?
Great question. So will it resize everything else? No. In fact, think of a text box the same as a picture or an object. And every one of them is independent. And we'll show you how independent they are.
They're just all floating on this.
Yes, like here I can do that. Not that I'd want to, but
Right.
they're independent. And you notice it's translucent. So I could say, which I'm going to get to in a second, how we color the back of it. Go ahead.
And then my next question is there a setting where I can hit it so that when I do move a box, the other boxes will reformat? Kind of like you do like when you have a picture and text?
Not that I'm aware of. Because again, it's kind of an independent thing.
Right.
And you can do it with text, which we're going to get into a little bit here. But what I want to show you now is if we go to lists, this is where you have bullets. Oh, Sean's on his way back. It's just notification center. That's a text that came in to my phone, but it comes over to this. So I can do text bullets, see how it does, and then if I hit here, I have to hit carriage return. So all your bullets are under list here, and I can change how I want my bullet to be. I can do that bullet. Actually, I would highlight them all because I could change to stars, or I go up here and highlight this and say make everything stars. And I can change the color of the bullet by clicking the little red thing right here. I have all kinds of adjustments. Rather than go through all the adjustments, the best thing to do is when you get home tonight, you're all going to stay up late. I know, I've been there, and you can play with all this. But look at, I mean, it's so fun because you can be creative. I'm the least artistic person in this room, and I can be a hero with this stuff. When I first learned Pages was, gosh, it's got to be 8 years ago with Pages iLife or iWork, original iWork, 95 or 05? 05, yeah, I think it's the original one because 06 was the first numbered one. Pete had a class over at CompUSA when he was the Apple person inside CompUSA over there. And if you bought Mobile Me, he would let you go to the classes. And that's really the basis of what started EmpowerMac. And I was never one. I've been self-taught and everything. I taught skiing for many years, but I was self-taught and I just was that way. But I sat in on Pete's class and I was like a sponge on Pages. Because the company I was working for was a company that sold landscape products for like erosion control and things like that. And I was putting together their 4-page flyer. And I did it in Pages. And I thought it looked pretty good. I was damn proud of myself, but I'm going, I got pictures here, I got text, I've got descriptions, arrows pointing to different things. And I took Pete's class, and I went home that night, and I knew the next day would be shot because I started to see the sunrise at about 5 a.m. But the difference in that brochure, knowing how to use Pages and the different tweaks you can do in Pages versus the other was huge. And you can do anything you want. So that's text bullets. You see all the latitude here. And I mean, look at all these different text bullets you can do. Check marks are good ones, you know. I can change it to blue. Anything I want. I mean, that just is really amazing. Tabs, we don't use so much, but you can adjust your tab stops. I know in Word, it's really hard. You drag things around. Here you have a graphic representation on what you can do with your tab stops. And then there's more. So these we're not going to delve into because we're going to miss a lot of the really key things. But they're there. They're hidden. These are a lot of things that Pete will get to into advanced Pages. And I have a feeling what we'll probably do is wait till fall when the new iWork stuff comes out and we'll have Pages again then. So the next thing we're going to talk about, go ahead.
When I go on to list and it says bullets and numbering, I don't have anything.
You don't have anything. You haven't made any. You haven't selected anything. You have to hit.
We have to select something.
Well, we have to. We can only affect what we have selected. So you had to raise your hand for me to know you had a question. You have to select something to know that it needs to affect it. Okay. And with bullets, the way it works is you do a carriage return? No, it's a great question. Now, I know how it is. Many times you've put bullets in and you go, well, how do I get rid of them? A lot of times you can just delete back and then start typing again where it was, instead of going in and out of bullets. Let's review that. Okay, I've made a carriage return and I've typed something in. But let's say I don't really want a bullet there. I can go back and just move my arrow over to right here and delete the bullet. Okay? You don't have to highlight it and turn off bullets or do things like that. Because there's many times where it's easier, you make a bullet list and then you just want to insert an information line in between it. Okay?
Could you remind me how to delete forward instead of deleting back?
You don't. That's, you don't on a, well, if you have a full-size keyboard, you can.
Yeah, I was told. I
So
just have to
you don't have a full-size keyboard, so you can't. You can, because you have the this other, no, the other delete. Is it function? This function? Let's try that. I use a full-size keyboard most of the time. Let's try it. Delete forward. Hang on. I don't know if it's function. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Ding, 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 ding. He gets a free, would you like a banana?
So how do you do?
For the monkeys in the house, right? So, delete forward means don't backspace. That's what we're used to on the Mac. But if you hold the function key, that FN, only tap it once or you'll get dictation. Tap and hold the function key, and then hit your delete or backspace key in the upper right. And watch what happens here. It works its way across. Forward. It deletes what's in front of the cursor. Great question. Great answer. Thank you.
And it does come.
One more time, please.
Hold the function key. Put your cursor somewhere in text. You got to be in text.
Now.
Well, hit Command Z, it'll come back. So put your cursor in the middle of text somewhere, and if you hold function, it will, let's see, where's my cursor? My cursor's right here, okay? It will delete the G instead of, so normally it would go back and delete the H, right? I'm going to hold function, and it deletes the G. It deletes forward. The other one was kind of a backspace or delete back, which was typical. Obviously, you can still highlight things. And you know, the other thing is if I'm gonna move around here and I want to go up, I don't go to my mouse and move my cursor. If I want to go up, I put my up button here and I just use my arrow keys. Arrow keys are highly underutilized and they're wonderful. Okay. Now, let's go back to this image right here. Actually, we'll go to the... Bless you, man. That was... Okay. So, this image, I want to put some text on top of this image. So, I go up here to text box, and you'll notice it makes this right here. It's just puts it in the center, and you start typing. And I'm just going to call it surprise. I'm going to call it EmpowerMac. But I can barely see it, right? So I click off in the gray, and I come back and click on it, and now I have handles, and I can move it where I want. So everybody click text box, and just type a very short word or two in it. EmpowerMac, Pages, anything like that. I don't want a really long thing. And then once you've done that, click in the gray area. And then once you've clicked in the gray area, come back and click on the text box you've just created, and it should get handles. Is anyone not there? Please speak up. It's important. Hard to find it, isn't it? Yeah, you clicked a second time, so we're going to click off in the white area. Oh, actually, let's make your window a little wider. So we have a gray area. Click in the gray, in the white area. Now we're going to click on the box again. Everybody got it? Kind of over the blue where you can see it? All right. So let's make this text bigger. And if you'll notice in the upper right, and it may be hidden on yours, does everybody see fonts on their screen or not? Okay? Click fonts. And a new window comes up. And I would imagine everybody's on the same default text, Hoffler text, whatever it is. Believe it or not, that's kind of set by the template. So what I'd like you to do is go over here and let's pick 48 for our font size, okay? Becomes a little more visible. Okay, everybody got 48? Anybody who doesn't, please let me know, because Sean will be back in a few minutes. Got it? Okay. Now, let's go ahead for now and let's shut the fonts box by hitting the red dot up in the font box. And I'm going to click over in the gray and click back so I have my handles. Does everybody have this little plus on theirs, or did it fit? Did everything fit?
Mine is
I downsized it so it would fit.
Okay.
You want me to have the-
Doesn't matter. No, you're fine. You know what you're doing on this. So what that means is the Mac part of Empower didn't fit, did it? So I'm going to go over here and grab this little corner and drag this thing. Oh, I lucked out. It fit. That's why I didn't want you to make something real long. But you'll notice it was hidden. Okay? Well, so this will show up. Is everybody there? Everybody got it? So everything they wrote was there? Now.
mine is hidden behind the photo.
Oh. How'd you do that?
I know it's there because when I go to with it,
That little text there? Is that the one you just made? The text you just made? Okay. We'll go with a new text box. Just go up to text box. Right here. No, right there. And type in pages, the word pages. Just type up. Yeah, you put that. Try it. Yeah, see. Double click. There. Just type the word pages. Go up to the word fonts up here. Go down to 48. Everybody okay? So, luckily mine's centered, but I'm going to make it so it's not so centered. I'm going to expand this box out. But see it's right here? What I want to do is I'm going to put a background on this so it's more visible to us right now. Now, it has handles on it, so it's an object. I can make an object any color I want, and I do that by clicking on the next thing over, which is, and remember you have to have handles on because we're going to affect what we're doing. And you'll notice that when I click on the graphic tab, all of a sudden it says, well, do I want fill? This isn't for the color of the text, this is the color of the background. So unlike Pete, I'm going to do a color fill rather than a gradient fill. And I'm going to say color. So it's a white background. It's okay. But we got black text. So that's just so we can see it. So now I'm going to look at this right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my text, click on the text graphic, and click text and center it in my box. Okay? So everybody go back to text, and center it in your box. Make sure it's centered in your white. Anybody not there? Okay? Did you make it big enough? have it big enough. Right there. Click graphic. Fill, it's white. Background text and say center. And we want to center it vertically too. Right here. Okay? This means that when we move it around, it's always going to be centered within that box, no matter if we make the box bigger or smaller or whatever. So that says EmpowerMac. Yeah, we can make that font whatever we need to. We already know how to do that. But what I'd like to do, I want to see the ocean behind this. So, with the handles selected, I go back to my graphics inspector, and when I click on color fill, in other words, I want to affect that white background. Now this comes up. I'm not going to change my color, but I'm going to go down here to opacity, and change the slider. Now, this isn't as pretty as if Pete was doing his stuff, but I'm trying to teach you just the functionality of it. We could spend twice as long getting it perfect.
There's also no, in this pane,
Yeah, let me, okay, perfect. Let's talk about that. I skipped over it. Everybody got it? That looks good with that dark background like that. And did you use white? No, you used black. Black's better.
So you said click on inspector again.
Okay, where are we here? Okay, you got white back. You got handles on it. So click on Graphics Inspector. One right next to it. Right next to the T.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
that.
Click on the color. Now, slide this opacity slider down a ways and watch what happens. Keep going, look at that. It's like magic. All right. So, we took white and made it opaque, but you wouldn't think black would work because we have black text. But let's go back to click on our color fill and click on our crayons and select black. And then come back to opacity. Oh, you know, hang on, I'm in the, wait a minute here. What happened to our text? Oh, it's the whole thing. Forget that for right now.
no, my text just gets lighter and darker.
When you use the other slider.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, so back on
For
the,
the background and one
so what it is this one here, as it makes sense, affects the color. This one here affects the color, okay? Now, the other opacity that's under graphics, oh, there was my problem. Hang on. Switch it to black. And I slid the wrong opacity. I'm changing the black background and making it less opaque. Okay? So this slider right here affects the background color. All right? This slider affects the opacity of everything. Notice how EmpowerMac got really light? It affects the opacity of both items. Okay? So, we've selected an object because we have handles. It has text in it. We haven't touched the text color. We've simply affected the background color and the background and text color. Okay? Now, that you can have a lot of fun with. And if you'll remember, we took this, I'm going to turn it back to white, and we went coast to coast with our box so we wouldn't see any border in here. You can do this quite well with, say, a rounded rectangle. Looks really nice because it appears to stand out or it appears to be kind of embossed. I find this really, really useful. Okay? Now, we're gonna replace this picture right here. If we had internet, I would show you the largest clip art collection in the world. Does everybody remember those little CDs? Okay. Remember you had like 23 of them and then you tried to go through that catalog to find a certain image? I have slow internet right now. So I'm going to go out here. And oh, by the way, this is, well, we'll talk about this when we break. I'm going to search for apple pie. It'll take a minute. I would do this if Pete was here. Hopefully apple pie will have loaded by the time Jeopardy is done. I don't think so. Man, come on. Ah, thank you. All right, joke's over. It's trying to load apple pie. While we're waiting for apple pie to load, let me show you this. KenSpencer.com is where you'll find the recording of today's classes. I'll probably have it posted tonight. It'll be unedited, but it'll be up there. And right here is where it says, I'm not going to go to it, to Mac Sheet. What that is I have a sheet with where you can put passwords on. And I have all the keyboard shortcuts in there too. It's a little PDF document that was made in, surprisingly enough, Pages. If you go to EmpowerMac Tech or Mac Nexus, I will have pointers to the recordings of today's class. You can play them on an iPhone, an iPad, or your Mac. In the meantime, we got apple pie. So I searched for apple pie. And I'm going to click on Images, and let's hope. So, we're getting a little better. Now, I'm searching the entire web for images. So there's an apple pie, and I do want to point out, in fact, it usually comes up. Does anybody here have a Mac Mini or remember the Mac Mini? Somebody made an apple pie Mac Mini, which I think is great. But I'm going to grab this apple pie right here. I'm going to click on it one time and wait, because I want to go use an image. Let's say you're making a, like this thing was a BMW flyer or something like that. You can go on the web and find art. Now, if you're making money on it, you have to be careful on the art that you get because it may be copyrighted and protected. For your own use and for nonprofit use, you should be fine. That's your own situation. So, here is the picture of this. So I say, they've changed this recently. I say View Original Image. Okay, so I click View Original Image. Takes a while to load. I wouldn't take it from where it was right there because it's not as big of an image. You always want to have as big of an image to start with because you can make an image smaller. It's kind of like if you take a photograph and it's this big, you can't blow it up to an 8 by 10 or a 24 by 36. So now I get here. Now, you see my cursor becomes a plus. That means click it one more time and it gives you the bigger. Now, remember, secondary click is 2-finger click, control click, or right click. Look what happens when I do that. I can, if it's an image you're going to use later, save it right to your iPhoto library from here. And I know you guys can't do this. I'm sorry. It's because of the internet. But I could save this image right to my iPhoto library. If I wanted apple pie for my desktop picture, I could, but I don't want to. Or I copy image. I don't have to hit Command-C. I just come down here and hit Copy Image. Okay? I've copied the image. So think about it. It's on my clipboard. I want to show you a couple other little search cues if I can. Or can't. We'll just go right back to Pages. All right. See this little logo down? Well, first of all, I'm going to go down here where this logo is. Right here is this logo. I'm going to make these boxes behind strawberry. There we go. Nice ugly color, okay? Only because I'm going to show you a point. So I went to Safari, I found the image I wanted, and I'm going to go use it in Pages. So I click on this image that I want to replace it with, and I go up to Edit and hit Paste. It's there. I can size it all I want. But look at this thing. It's got this white garbage around it. So I'm going to blow it up a little bit. Oh, and by the way, here's tip of the day. Karen would go hoorah if she was here. I can resize my image by grabbing any of the handles, right? And I'm going to hit Command Z, but it was already centered. So if I want to expand my image, right? If I want to expand that image from the center, if I hold down the Option key with my finger and click on any handle, it will expand it from the center. Okay? Otherwise, when you hit a corner, it just drags it one way, drags it the other way. The Option key makes it so it expands from the center. The center part doesn't move. Now, I want to remove this white background, and you have the coolest thing in the world, Instant Alpha. And let's see how we get there. We have, if you need to order lunch, we have the background selected. I'm sorry, we have our object selected with the handles. And if I go up here to Format, I'm coming on down to a thing called Instant Alpha. It should be called Hallelujah. So if I click on Instant Alpha, this comes up, and this is going to give you a little tip. It says, click the color you want to make transparent, then drag. As you drag, the selection grows to include the areas. What this means is, if this were not, I picked this image because it's got a stark white background. But let's say it had a little bit of a shaded background. That's where they get a little tricky. But drag multiple items to make other areas transparent. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to click. See, I haven't clicked anything yet. You notice I'm in the object, so it becomes a crosshairs. I'm going to click and drag, click and hold, and I start to draw the circle out bigger. You see the circle right here? And if I go too far, it probably won't do it. It starts to blue out the image, right? So let's go back a ways. And now when I hit return, I've gotten rid of my white background. Now, that's huge, because how many times do you have a picture you want to put somewhere and you've got this stupid white background? I will warn you though, if it's people with flowing hair, it may not get it perfect around here. If this were a caramel colored background, it probably wouldn't work as well. I picked this white because I cheated, and I know that one works. But you can play with it, and you can do it multiple times. Let's say there was a picture of me like this, and we wanted to take it out. We took everything else out around it. We could go click in here and get rid of this also. Let's say it's a teapot, let's say, in the loop of the handle. You just click in there and do the same thing. So that's Instant Alpha. Play with it. It's one of the coolest things, because look at how well that turned that into well, I'll do Instant Alpha again. Format, Instant Alpha. Boom. All right. The last thing we're going to do for image type things like this is I'm going to go up to this, And I'm going to get rid of EmpowerMac by simply clicking on it and tapping. Now, I'm going to do a thing called masking. And the way to think about masking is, think about wax paper. And if I put wax paper over the screen but cut something out in the middle, the outside would be masked, wouldn't it? But you would be clear here. So I'm going to take this photo right here. I've selected the photo. And I'm going to do this two different ways. I'm going to show you two ways to mask. If I go to Format and say Mask with shape, I can pick what shape I want. Now, I'm going to pick an oval. And you guys can do this to the photo you have there. So select the photo. Just make sure it has handles on it. We don't need the internet for this. And say Mask with shape. And you should get something like this. Tell me if you don't, please. Good. You click on the photo. You need to be on the photo itself. Good, you got handles. Now go up to Format, Mask with shape, and then pick a shape. I just picked oval. Oval's good. Great. Now, you'll notice my wax paper scenario is kind of there, isn't it? So if I were to hit enter right now, the only thing you would see what's inside the oval. The rest would become not like wax paper, but it would be gone, okay? So now you can grab the handles on your oval and do whatever you want.
If you hit the Option key and what are they do center again?
Yes, that will always, anytime you have handles, if you hit the Option key, an oval is, in this case, this is a great example for using the Option key because, well, actually there's two keys. If I hold the Option key only and I go here, oops, hang on. Format, mask with shape, oval. So notice I'm holding the Option key and I'm expanding the oval from the center, okay? I'm going to hit Command Z. But let's say I don't want it to become an oval and I want it to stay a perfect circle. When I'm expanding it, whether or not I hold the Option key and I hold down the Shift key, watch this, Option Shift, it will stay the perfect circle. Shift will keep it in the perspective that it is. Okay? So you can do, if I do Shift and expand it, it'll stay a perfect circle, but it'll just expand not from the center. If I hold the Option key and the Shift key, it'll expand from center. Okay? Now, you'll notice I got a hand up here on my cursor. I can move the photo wherever I want. Let's say I wanted it to be just kind of that shot right there. Obviously, you're limited by the edge of the photo itself. Okay? So now you hit Enter or Return on your keyboard, and there it is. Now, obviously, this isn't cropped right, but it kind of gives you an idea. You'll notice there's a little slider down here. I can enlarge the picture that's behind the mask, which will help with that little bit I have there. Now, if I want to move the picture again, I click Edit Mask. It becomes a hand. And now I'm getting a little closer. Okay? Edit Mask turns it off. You guys need to play with that to get used to it. And remember those keyboard shortcuts. But masking is really, really, really good. But let's show you a different way to do it. So let's Command Z back to our original photo. Command Z. I got just my bare photo, okay? You're going to love that. Hold it down with your thumb and hit Z, 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 Z till you get back to your regular photo. Now, I want to take and pretty much mask around this car. So if I go up to Shapes, right up here, Shapes, and come down here to a thing called a Bezier curve, or Bezier tool, excuse me. Right here. Click on that. Now, watch me first, and then you can do it. I'm going to start down here in the lower left, and I'm going to click once right there. Then I'm going to move up and click once right there by the windshield. Then I'm going to click right there by the edge of the windshield. And I'm going to go on. We're just going to do the taps. We're not going to learn Bezier curve. We're just going to kind of do our own little shape here. So I'm just going to kind of make this easy to go around so you can see it. Come to there. Come down. And I have to make it, I have to complete the journey. You'll notice I clicked here, 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 and I complete the journey. You have to close the loop. Think about this as you're running a line around, and you have to come back and join where you started, okay? And now you'll notice it became a shape, didn't it? So now I want to mask using what I've just created. So it's already selected, and how can I tell that? How can I tell it's already selected? Okay, it's got handles. Now, I want to hold down my Command key and click somewhere on the photo that's not inside that box. And now both of them have handles. See how the photo has handles and this has handles. Make sure you have both things with handles. If not, if you haven't got the Bezier all the way around, that's fine. And now I'm going to say mask with selected shape. In other words, I've selected two shapes. And I want to mask those two shapes. And if I hit mask with selected shape, there is the cutout. And that's not great, but you can see the point there. We could have done our little pie that way, but you'll notice the jagged edge around the pie made it tough. We could probably have used Instant Alpha to pull just the car out, but I didn't want to do that. In fact, this is a good example. Let's go back out of here. And I'm going to use Instant Alpha on this photo. And let's see how it works. Because remember, this is a challenge because it's a lot of different colors. So you notice that got rid of the road there. Oop, it started getting rid of the windshield. So I'll come back. There we go. Now I can have it get rid of that. Oop, too much. Command Z. Love that. Wow, tough call here with the windshield. See how it, on multiple colors, yeah, and multiple colors and the mirror, you know, it can really be a challenge. Oh, that's weird. And what happens is like, it's not just colors, it's the intensity of the color. So see, in many, it becomes cartoonish at some point, it looks like. But there's a lot more work where it was just easy enough to go ahead and draw something around the car. But you kind of have the same, a little bit same effect. See, here we have gray and silver, which are really, really difficult. So, go ahead, Bart.
Again, once you have selected your custom shape, and then you go down the format and click mask with shape, you know that. Everything is grayed out.
You don't have two things selected. You have to have two things selected because you have to have the thing you're masking and the thing you're going to mask it with.
So how do you select the second?
Command click. So you're your Bezier tool is already activated, so hold down the command key and then click up on the blue. Now, they're both selected. Command selects multiple items. Okay? Now, I don't want to skip this one thing because it's really, really, really important. And it's a great find, and it's a little hidden gem. You see we have the inspector up here. If I want to go up to the inspector, all my inspector things are on one palette here, right? And I have to switch them. But I have a tendency to use both the text and the object one, or the text and the graphic one a lot. So if I go Option, click and drag, I can have multiple palettes here. See, I have text and object open at the time. But, again, that's Option, click on the palette and drag. Hold down your Option key, click and drag up on the inspector, and it'll open a second inspector window. But remember, you're only going to be able to work with one of them at a time, but the beauty is I could have my text one right here below my graphics one, and I can just go between them like that, back and forth. Okay? So you don't have to always use the boxes. That's Option, click and drag. It tears off another inspector palette. Okay. Let's say we've made this is our template. So if I want the template, I can get rid of all the art that's in here and different things like that. But we want to make this into a template. So we've changed it to EmpowerMac. We've put this beautiful chartreuse color down there. We've put the text. We've gotten everything the way we want it. And we know every month we're going to make a newsletter, but the content's going to change. So we want to turn this into our own template. And it's really easy. So if I go up to File, Save as Template. Now, a template means that when I fire it up, the original template will stay in the template drawer, and you're bringing out a copy of the template and working with it, and you will never affect the original template. So you can't screw it up. And when you go to quit, it will always prompt you to give a new name to it. So I'm going to save this as a template, and we'll call this Pages Class. You can call it Newsletter for the Car Club, Sailing Club, whatever it is. And I'm going to say Save. And you'll notice it's saving it right into my templates folder. And now, I'm going to get rid of this Pages document. I'm going to say Delete. So now, I'm in Pages, and I'm going to say New Project from Template Chooser. And we get the menu we're used to, right? But look at what I have down here under My Templates is our template. And don't think of a template. Think of that as your letterhead. Your newsletter, your monthly newsletter you have in there, and you just modify it. Now, if you did a really good one, you had all this text in it, go ahead and save it, because you're just going to change that text every time. You don't have to get the blank one that's got the fake text in it and everything else. Now, in more advanced Pages classes, you'll learn how in a newsletter you can link a text box to another one. As it overflows, it goes to the other. But it's a little bit too complex for what we're trying to accomplish here. So if I click on that, it opens, and it's exactly what it was when we left. Now, we talked about getting images from Safari, but we all should have pretty extensive iPhoto libraries. So, no, I don't. God, get rid of this. Okay, so if I want to, I'm going to get my inspector out of the way so we can see it on the screen. I'm going to say Hide Others so it's clean. All right. You'll notice up in the top, there's a little thing called Media. And if I click on Media, it goes into my iPhoto library. And I have a ton of stuff. Oh, Sean, you'll like this. It's Jesse's Jesse's mom and dad. There's a good one. Let's go find, oh, here's our shots of Yosemite. There we go. So I want to take this picture. I have not fired up iPhoto. I'm peering into my iPhoto library, and if I'm going to do a project in iPhoto, I will make albums for other different things. Actually, here's some of my, I'll use some of my sunset pictures. So this is an album I have of sunsets, and I'm just going to click and drag and put this photo right there. I can resize it all I want. I can expand it. I can put text over it. Now, if it's not exactly where I want it, I simply use my arrow keys to nudge it where I want. Use your arrow keys. It's a lot easier than trying to move the whole thing. So I simply went into my iPhoto library, and that's Jesus, by the way, not Jesus. So that's Jesse's dad's name. Jesse from La Placida. So I simply drug this over to here and put that right into my document. I never fired up. iPhoto is not running. Okay? So we also have ability to do text wrap. And you know what? This brings up a point about templates. This thing has a pretty neat setup as it is already, because you'll notice, watch when I move the keys. The text wraps around the keys. Okay? But I'm going to take my little pie and I'm going to paste it where this was. And now my apple pie has the text wrap around it. So if you like a design you have, you can just modify it for the template you want. And again, you can save it. We did paste and mass styles. Looking here, making sure we're hitting the top ones. Okay. So let's go back to fit page. Again, you get an idea of how it is. And that shows you. You can actually do this. If I expand my screen out this way and go down here, this is a selection we've not visited before. 2 up. Shows them side by side so you can work on them. Now, you may have to zoom in to get a better look at it. This was down here where we normally hit fit page. We can say 2 up, side by side. Because if you look, most of us have wider screen monitors now. Allows you to do editing of 2 different pages. Oh, this is something that comes up. Let's say we're going to type, oops, Command Z. I'm going to type the word senor. It's one of the few Mexican words I know, or Spanish words. S-E-N-O-R, right? Well, we want to put that little accent over there, right? So watch what happens if I type S-E and I hold down the N. I can pick that. If you hold down the letter, and this applies on your iOS device too, you'll get whatever options there are for that letter, and it doesn't mean you have to have Spanish inside your Mac. Okay?
Have different email too?
Anywhere you can type. Yeah, it's pretty much built in all throughout the Mac. So senor. The old way to do it was you had to go, you typed in N, and then you hit Option and the little tilde up in the upper left. Forget that. And on your iPad and your iPhone, it's the same thing if you hold down the letter N. Let's hold down the letter E and see what happens. See all the choices for the letter E. The letter U for like umlauts for German and stuff. Okay? That brings up another thing I just thought of that we kind of showed earlier. Up in the upper right, I have this little icon right here. Yours might have an American flag. But watch what happens if I click on this. How many times do you want to insert a little character and you button your head to try to find out what it is. Well, if I click here and say show keyboard viewer first, okay? So I have my keyboard up here. Now, these keys are called modifier keys. Think about this. If we're typing the word fabulous, we hold the shift key down and then tap the F, right? We don't try to tap them both at the same time because it's screw up. We hold the modifier key, the shift key down, and then tap the F. Tap and release the F, right? You don't hold the F down. All the modifier keys work the same way. So if I'm going to do Command C for cut, I hold down Command and tap the C. So just remember, those are all the modifier keys. Now, with my keyboard up, we all know that to make an asterisk, it's Shift 8, right? So watch what happens when I hold down my Shift key. It shows you what happens when you hit the Shift key with Keyboard Viewer. Okay? That helps tremendously. Look what happens when I hold down Command. Not much. When I hold down Option, look at that. When I hold down Control, not much. But watch what happens when I hold Option and Shift. Okay? And I can go here and click on the Apple logo. Now watch. Let's move this out of the way. There. It typed it. I held it, Option Shift, and I went over and clicked on, we'll do this. Oh, it did it down below. We'll do it up here where we can see it. This is where I'd be typing. Option Shift. We'll do that. Okay? But the cool thing is it shows you what those keys were doing. It gets even better than that. And the coolest thing is this is a font. So unlike an image, vector, I can make it bigger or smaller and it will always be very crisp because it's a font. You know, if we make our letters 72 point and make them 16 point, they don't get all jaggy. These things are fonts, and let's show you how that works. If I click on this, Command plus, it maintains it. Okay, it's a font. You can copy and paste it from here and put it wherever you want. It's just a good old, it's another letter essentially. Now, I'm going to close the keyboard viewer, and if we go up here and you say show character viewer, this is where it gets good. You have private use area. Wow, that's interesting. I have all the arrows. So if I want to use this arrow, I click on it and click here and click on this arrow. I copy it. Oops, my mistake, sorry. Oh, there it is. I had to double click on it. I can also drag it over to it from the character viewer. Now look at all of these. You got all kinds of parentheses. You got all kinds of punctuations. You know, some of these are found in the keyboard, but they're just so visible here. You could do euros, you could do lira, pictographs, and these are all scalable. So that's up here. Does everybody have this little thing up top? If not, I'll show you how to enable it. Okay, let's enable it. So go up to your Apple logo and come down to System Preferences. Actually, yeah, you don't have it. So System Preferences. Let me close this. And we'll click on Keyboard. Right here, Show Keyboard and Character. Go ahead and select that. And now you should have something up there. Do you? Anybody not? Is it a little box or is it a flag? Okay. It used to be a flag if you were using the US keyboard. It would put an American flag up there. Everybody got it? Who doesn't have it?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
What am I looking for?
Let's check. Uh,
Is that what you want to show people?
yeah.
What about
Let's see there. Close the window. Go ahead and hit show all. So what's that little triangle? Oh, that's interesting. Did everybody else show up with something up there once we clicked it? Well, here, let me see your mouse a second. Because this has been there forever. Oh. Sources. Emojis. Yeah, there's. Now it's there. This little gray thing, right? Okay, everybody got that? Is that's pretty handy, and it's great little things, okay? Yes?
Drop down and choose something other than arrows like the bottom. I can't get them to show.
Okay, hang on. Character viewer. You mean math symbols?
Bottom, right one up there.
Emoji?
Yeah, when you click on something, I can't get it to.
Yeah, I think it's going to say, oh. You know what? It may handle a restart, because I had something earlier. It said, you know, done by Apple. Here's your emojis, by the way. I'm sorry? Yeah, I'm back on character viewer. And then the other thing is, if you like these emojis, you'll notice it says add to favorites. And so let me pick one I like. Where's the emoji with glasses?
Sunglasses or regular glasses?
That's where. Oop. Add to favorites. Now you'll notice a favorites. Once you add a favorite, you have your favorites here. And that's from any list. So another favorite I want is, what, apples. Was there an apple here, or did I have to do the other? Yeah, I don't think they have it in this one. Bullets and stars, math symbols.
These are all your web themes from that font, right?
Yeah.
So if you're on a different font.
No, it used to be, but I think now it's total. It's not part of the fonts anymore. Because you notice you can't choose a font. You used to be related to the font you were in. Which is, my next and last thing is talking about fonts. Because that's one way to zip up your document and make it real neat. So, does anybody know what we use in our Mac for fonts? It just kind of happens behind the scenes. We have a little known program called FontBook that's built in. Now, Ken, I don't know, where is it? Let me show you how to find anything inside your Macintosh or your iPhone or your iPad. There's a little magnifying glass. And I just start typing font, and look at what comes up. This is searching my entire computer for the word font. Well, there's font, girl font. Well, okay, I guess I searched girl font size. Inside this image, somehow it says font. In these messages, there's the word font. Inside these documents, well, actually, it's not just in the document, but if I had a PDF document in my computer that somewhere in that document it had the word font, it would show up in this Spotlight search. Spotlight searches everything. But this is how I find, because I have so many apps, how I find my app. I simply see it, I click on it or hit return, and FontBook fires up. Okay? You guys can all do that. You have FontBook. Now, the beauty with FontBook is we never know what a font's going to look like, and you can go through here and see what your fonts look like, and you can even adjust the size of the font for what you want to see. There's a good one, Papyrus. Here's the new one that Apple's starting to use is Helvetica They're switching away. Helvetica New Ultralight. Ultralight. This is Apple's new font right here that they're using on all iOS 7 and all their other info.
I was finding it a nuisance to change that on each page when I was making a newsletter. I mean, it kept putting their font up instead of mine.
In Pages? Okay, you know, that brings up a good point. So that's another reason to do a template. Even if it's just a simple white letter that you want to have blank, go in, start typing ABCD, change it to the font you want, and save that as a template. And then when you fire it up, it'll start with that font. And I agree completely, and that's a great point. So that's the way to get around that, is you make a template. You could name the template if it was a particular font that you liked. You could name the template that font, and you don't have to change it. And then every time you make a text box or do anything else from there forward, it will be that font in that one. And that's the only way. There's no way currently to set, okay, when I fire up something new, start with this font.
I know, I asked that and I was surprised. I couldn't believe it.
Did they tell you to do it this way?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I was the same as the Apple guys. Yeah, that's really the only way. I don't know if in the new one it will or not.
I thought that was strange.
So Fontbook is fantastic. You know, I remember long ago I used to take all my fonts and I printed them out so I had this sheet of all the fonts. But once with Fontbook, you really don't have to. And the other thing is, in Fontbook, you can make most used, you can make up little lists, you can do different things like that. And then over in here, when I select this and I select fonts, which, by the way, if your fonts doesn't look like this, there's a little button here. Yours is probably closed so you don't see it. Behind every little dot is something. But you can go down here and you can put favorites in your fonts, let's say. In fact, I'm going to go get the new Helvetica New Ultralight, and I'm going to make that a favorite. Drag it to my favorites. Now in my favorites, it's right there. And it's not just the font. You can have the actual size saved there. All right, we're about ready to break for lunch, and since we want to kind of get on, we're going to break for a half hour. I know we've covered a lot. Remember, it's recorded. I'm going to turn the recording off in a second, but that way you can go through it. It'll be basically the things I said, also with a photo or a movie of my screen. And I encourage you, when you get, those of you that are leaving, if you go to kenspencer.com and click on did I do it? No, it's on the next one. On Mac Nexus, I want to show you a couple things because during the break, I'm going to play the Apple ad and some other stuff. There's some links to some wonderful videos from Apple that are out now. And they're just really moving. If the page would load, there it's loading. So this is at kenspencer.com. You can click on Mac Nexus classes. You can see all of mine. Today's recording will be there. In fact, I'm going to stop the recording right now.